What's up, guys? Dirk here. Happy Friday. It is the 12th of February, and today let's just have a look at what is happening in the markets, because lately it just feels like there has been so much happening in such a short period of time that, almost every couple of days we just need to keep reassessing where we're at, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Dirk. Welcome. Subscribe below. Click that notification bell if you're not subscribed to the channel just yet, so that you can continue to get updates whenever I publish a new video, as well as if you want to get email updates whenever I do upload a new video, just go to the first link in the description below. Sign up for my free cryptocurrency masterclass. When you get on the email list there, you'll also get my uploads. I'll send out an email every time I upload one. And of course, if you want the details on my intelligent cryptocurrency program, when you sign up for the masterclass, that'll all be explained to you, as well as how you can join. Okay, so for the next several months, as long as we can, a lot of these updates are just going to continuously be looking at the market cycle. Where in the cycle are we? At which point can we expect this to top? That is the most important thing right now. Sure, individual coins are popping here and there, and you might be wondering, which coin should I buy, and that, but that is the smaller picture. The bigger picture is the large general cryptocurrency cycle, because as long as we are in that bull run cycle, then the prices of a lot of coins are going to keep going up, irrespective of whether you have the one that goes up 100x or the one you have that goes up 10 or 20x, right? The most important thing is knowing that we are still in the bull run phase of the cycle, because if that changes and the bull run is over, it doesn't really matter too much which coin you're going to hold, because it's probably going to go down. So the bigger picture is what we need to focus on, and then within that bigger picture you can look at the different trends and coins and altcoins and Bitcoin and that kind of stuff. But the most important thing is this larger cycle, and I've been talking about it for months now, and we keep progressing through that. So looking at this chart, and it always just remains a guess, right? All we can do is try and use past experience and use sentiment and different indicators to try and guess where in the cycle we are. And as we get closer to what we think could potentially be a top or near the top of the cycle, then we can maybe start taking initial capital out of the markets. We can start reducing positions, start taking profits, just to get rid of the risk, right? Because as you can see over here, this is the typical cycle for all types of markets, but also for the crypto market. And in this area, this phase of the cycle is when it is the least risky to add new money to the markets. But as we start going higher and higher, it becomes riskier to start adding new fiat to the market, because the potential upside becomes less and the risk of us getting closer to that top becomes higher, where we get followed by a huge crash, right? So you want to keep this in mind. This is the area where you want to be putting new money in, and this is the area where you want to start looking where you want to start taking money out. And unfortunately, what happens with most people is they only start getting interested in crypto or in the market, whatever it is, in towards the end of the cycle, right? And they start putting money in towards the top of the cycle, and that is the riskiest thing, because the upside is very limited, right? Sure, you might be able to get a 2x or 5x, maybe even a 10x still at that point, but as soon as it reverses, that 10x disappears and you start to lose 30, 50, 80, 90%, right? Which is obviously brutal. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through a few different aspects to try and figure out where in the cycle we are as an educated guess, okay? Of course, it's not financial advice, it's just my opinion. I'm sharing all my reasoning with you, how I come to that conclusion, and hopefully that can help you also, make your own decisions based on this. So personally, I think we have just had the first sell-off, or the bear trap. That was the move to $42,000 in Bitcoin down to about $28,000. People are saying, hey, that's the end of the bull run. It's over. It's done. We went from 28K. We're now sitting at almost 48K, right? So that is the bear trap. That is the thinking where, hey, it's over. We had a huge run from 10K to 42K. It's done. We're going back down to 10K or 5K or whatever, right? That's what people were thinking. They sold when it went to under $30,000. It trapped them, right? Traps the bears, and then it started going up. And we are in the phase now where we are getting a lot of media attention, okay? Media attention and enthusiasm. I think we're somewhere around here, and you'll see that in a second. I'm going to walk through some of the headlines and the articles and stuff like that over the past week or two, how basically that just backs up my thoughts of we are somewhere here. Okay, I don't think we are in the greed or delusion stage just yet. The reason why I'm saying that is because yes, there is definitely a change in sentiment. Newbies, retail investors, they are starting to get involved again after having stayed out of the markets for the last 2-3 years. Not looking at their accounts. Facebook groups are starting to revive again. Just regular people are starting to talk about it, starting to get messages again in a larger scale. How do I buy Bitcoin, crypto, etc., right? How do I create an exchange account? We're seeing exchanges with record volume in new signups. People are struggling to get support tickets answered, taking multiple days simply because there's such an overwhelm or an overload of new signups. And it takes time for all those new accounts to get approved, for people to fund them, for people to get verified, their KYC documents done, etc., right? So that could take a couple of weeks, and that new money that is ready to start flowing in, it is already happening. But as these verification processes start to complete, more money starts to flood in. And once it gets to that point, then we're going to start seeing the greed, where people are going to start putting more and more new money into it. And you will see it, right? The delusion or the new paradigm phase is really where we saw that at the end of 2017, where literally people are just talking about, hey, I'm going to quit my job and I'm just going to become a full-time crypto trader. Or, people who just signed up to crypto like 2 weeks ago are telling you about which coins they're picking and why they're picking them. They're genius investors. They're giving you tips on which coins to buy. They're showing you screenshots of their portfolio, how they went up like in a week or 2 weeks. That is when it starts getting close towards the end, right? And from what I can tell, we're nowhere near that stage yet. I think we're in the media attention and enthusiasm space. So let's have a look at why I think that. Okay, so first of all, it is now the year of the ox, right? The Chinese New Year. So happy New Year for anyone who celebrated. And if that's not a signal of a bull run, I don't know, right? It's literally year of the ox, year of the bull. So fingers crossed, guys, that this is going to be the biggest bull run that we have ever seen this year. And I think it's actually very, very possible, because look at some of the stuff that's been happening. Now, as you know, my last video about this was I made the video about Tesla buying $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, right? If you haven't seen that, I'll link to it up here in the description below. Go check that out if you haven't seen it yet. But that was basically Tesla. We've had MicroStrategy. We're starting to see funds, institutions, everyone's starting to come on board about Bitcoin. So basically, it feels like the floodgates are open and it's just getting started, right? So look at this, okay? Just today, Jack Dorsey, Jay-Z to fund Bitcoin development with 500 Bitcoin endowment. Twitter co-founder, CEO Jack Dorsey says he and well-known rapper Jay-Z are giving 500 Bitcoin to a new set endowment. Okay, then we just have this today as well. Okay, PayPal, a couple months ago, they announced that they were going to be offering cryptocurrency services. They started only in the US. Now they are expanding to the UK. And then there's still the rest of the world, right? So this takes time to roll out. It's not like the announcement is there and all of a sudden it's available. This rolls out over a period of months, maybe a year or 2 years. And as that rolls out, it basically exposes more users to the potential of purchasing crypto, which adds more fuel to the fire for the bull run, right? So that's expanding to the UK. You can see over here, again, literally this just happened today. The Miami mayor, Francis Suarez, just got Miami into Bitcoin. Employees paid in Bitcoin, residents pay fees in Bitcoin, taxes in Bitcoin, city treasury in Bitcoin. This is huge, right? Remember a couple of years ago how we didn't even know if Bitcoin was legal, if it was going to be banned, all that kind of stuff. Now we literally have the mayor of Miami talking about, getting the city into cryptocurrency. So this is huge. We're just starting to see the beginning here of what's possible, right? Huge news. The first Bitcoin ETF just got approved in Canada, the first North American Bitcoin ETF. If you remember back in 2017, there was all that talk about, hey, we're going to get a Bitcoin ETF and it's going to change how crypto is going to work, how Bitcoin is going to work. It's going to be, take it to institutions. It's going to make it much, much bigger. Obviously, it took a few years to get there, but this has finally happened. Okay, the first Bitcoin ETF has been approved. Huge. Okay, SEC Commissioner Pierce told CoinDesk TV the market is ready for a Bitcoin exchange-traded product. It's just happened, right? There will be many more to follow, in my opinion. Kraken creates a VC fund for boosting crypto innovation. The Kraken Ventures Fund will focus on supporting startups working in DeFi, fintech, crypto, and other innovative sectors. I don't know what the amount was. I thought it was 50 million that I read somewhere. 150,000. I'm not too sure. But anyway, again, investing in infrastructure, more growth, which allows for expansion and more adoption. The more real world use cases there are in crypto, the more startups there are, the more products there are that consumers can actually use, the bigger the ecosystem is going to get, the bigger crypto is going to get, right? That's simply how it works. Uber CEO says the company will accept Bitcoin if there is a need for it, right? Uber, I mean, it's like the floodgates have been opened. It started at this point, Bitcoin is here, it's here to stay. And now it's just a matter of time for companies to adopt it, for companies to buy it as part of their treasury, and so on and so forth. It's just here. And I think we're just in the very early phases. Bank of New York Mellon, the oldest bank in America, just announced they are going to custody Bitcoin for their clients, right? This is just, it's basically the start of a race for Bitcoin to go mainstream at this point in time. And that is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a period of weeks or months. This is going to happen over the coming years. But that just gives potential for it to get so much bigger. We are still so tiny. I think at this point in time, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think we're somewhere at under 150 million people who own cryptocurrency. 150 million out of the whole world of almost 8 billion, right? There are more than 1 billion people who have a Facebook or Instagram account. We're not even at a fraction of that who actually own crypto. And that's obviously partly been because of the lack of clarity on regulation, the lack of accessibility with easy access to apps and things like that, and that is all starting to grow. So it's a snowball effect, and it's happening on all fronts. The more apps there are, the more use cases, the more infrastructure, the more clarity on compliance, the faster it's going to grow. Wouldn't be surprised to see it being added to IRA accounts, investment accounts. Fidelity, as you know, has probably been working on this Fidelity digital assets. They already have their whole branch set up for the digital asset stuff. So I think we are still very early, and this is going to get much bigger, the digital asset space. The question is, what is going to happen in the meantime? Are we still going to get boom and bust cycles in between, right? So for the long term, for the next 5-10 years plus, I could see digital assets and crypto getting much bigger. But in the meantime, there could be booms in price and 50 to 80% busts. Again, we could have another cycle that could take another 3-4 years, right? And obviously you want to try and sidestep the next crash. You want to try and ride it up, sidestep the next crash, because 50 to 80% corrections are not fun, and 2-year, 3-year waiting periods. And then if you can sidestep that and buy back in lower, obviously that's going to be great, right? But you can see what's happening here. MasterCard, huge news, right? Remember how they were banning people for buying crypto with their bank accounts or their credit cards? Now they're all getting involved. Now MasterCard is saying, hey, merchants are going to accept crypto payments this year, right? It's huge. Siam, a huge bank in Thailand, the VC arm to invest $50 million in blockchain and DeFi startups. You can see SEB 10X, the venture capital of Thailand's oldest Siam commercial bank, has launched a $50 million fund to invest in blockchain and DeFi startups. What does that tell you about the future of crypto? Okay, this is about to blow up. This is about to get much bigger, and most people still have no idea about how big this is going to get. They have no idea about how crypto even works, right? That is why, if anyone asks, you should send them to this channel, tell them to subscribe and click the notification bell so that they can get these updates and learn more about crypto, right? Bill Miller, hedge fund looking to invest in Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. You can see over here, Wall Street legend Bill Miller is looking to indirectly gain exposure to Bitcoin with his flagship hedge fund. You can see over here, the crown jewel currently has about $2.25 billion asset under management, right? So the big boys are coming out to play. They want exposure to this. They want to get involved. And we've seen MicroStrategy invest more than $1 billion. We've seen now Tesla, Elon Musk, invest more than $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. And now the rumors are starting to come out, hey, Apple could be next. Maybe Oracle, maybe Microsoft. There are so many different companies out there, huge companies and corporations with big treasuries and balance sheets where they could actually afford to put a percentage of that into Bitcoin, right? And that's why I say the floodgates have been opened. Tesla and MicroStrategy have basically set the precedent that, hey, if you are a big company with so much cash in your balance sheet, your cash is devaluing at what, 10, 15, 20% per year, the purchasing power. So you want to put it somewhere else. Where do you put it? Well, Bitcoin, right? And once that starts happening, again, I've shown you this in the last video, JP Morgan said there could be $600 billion that is about to flow into Bitcoin. What is that going to do for the price? That is going to absolutely skyrocket it. And eventually all these talks about, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a single Bitcoin, maybe millions of dollars, could actually end up playing out. So again, going back to the cycle, right? Media attention. You can see there's a lot of media attention right now. It's just positive news headline, positive this, that, right? And enthusiasm is here, right? You can see it. People are enthusiastic. I'm enthusiastic. When you look on the TV, when you hear people talking about crypto or Bitcoin, there is enthusiasm, okay? People are excited. There's a buzz going around. They're creating accounts. They're wanting to learn about this stuff. They're wanting to get involved. So that's why I say we're at this phase. I don't think the insane delusional greed section is here yet, which means we still have time to come. And that is also backed up by the fact about the cycles, right? I have talked about the cycles for the last many months, and let's just have a look once again at the cycles. So this is by Plan B at 100 trillion US dollars on Twitter. I'll add a link in the description below if you want to follow him. I highly recommend that. He puts out a lot of good data, but basically this moves in 4-year cycles, the cryptocurrency markets, right? So the 2013 cycle lasted 12 months after the halving. The 2017 cycle lasted 18 months after the halving, right? Right now, we are at 9 months after the halving. You can see here, this is the two different cycles. This was the 2013 cycle, this was the 2016 cycle, this is now the 2021 cycle, 2020 cycle, whatever you want to call it. And you can see where we are, right? So it would be very unusual for this cycle to end less than 12 months. So the minimum that I'm looking at is a 12-month cycle. The halving was in May last year, which means, it's February now, so we should still have March, April, May, potentially 2 to 3 months if the cycle stops on the short end and it repeats 2013. But if it repeats the 2017 cycle, we still literally have until October or November of this year where this cycle could really start to get going. And this lined up combined with all the positive news that I've shared with you just now, combined with this chart, would put us somewhere over here, which means we still have the whole greed, delusion, and new paradigm phase to come over the coming months. And that is obviously the phase where everything goes parabolic, where the biggest gains are made in the shortest period of time, right? So this is a very slow phase, the initial phase. And sure, it goes up 5x, maybe 10x, right? And we've already seen that in a lot of coins. But this greed, delusion, new paradigm phase is in the altcoins where we start to see the 20, 50, 100x and even more returns, right? So based on everything I'm seeing, that's where I personally think we are in the cycle. And I think we still have several months to go, if not most of this year. So hopefully that is going to be the case, because then if you hold cryptocurrencies, the upside potential is going to be huge, and the potential gains that we can make this year with cryptocurrencies are going to be insane. But it is almost guaranteed that at some point there's going to be another very big crash, and the only question is when, right? So if you can ride this up and you can get out near the delusion phase, you're never going to get the exact top, but if you can get somewhere, 80 to 90% of the ride up, you can exit, cash out, get into stable coins, and you can avoid the largest part of this drop and start buying back in somewhere over here, then the next cycle you can make even more money, right? So as always with everything, this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing the information, my experience, my opinion with you guys so that you can make a more informed decision for yourself. And basically just looking at where we are now, you can see we're at roughly $48,000 per Bitcoin, which is obviously absolutely insane, because I remember in 2015, I bought some Bitcoin at $250. I sold it at $500, which in hindsight is a huge mistake. But, just even the idea of almost $50,000 for one Bitcoin at this point in time, it's pretty much unaffordable for the majority of the population right now to own one single Bitcoin. It's basically just, it's not even possible anymore. And if this goes to 100,000 to 300,000, it's really only the millionaires and the billionaires who are going to be able to buy Bitcoins. And there are only going to ever be 21 million, right? So basically, this can go way higher. That is how I see it, right? And one potential play for you to actually get more Bitcoin right now that you can use is to leverage altcoins, because their smaller market caps allow you to turn $1,000 into a more significant amount of Bitcoin, right? If you buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin right now, it's tiny, right? You get a fraction of a Bitcoin. But if you buy $1,000 of an altcoin that does 20, 30, 40, 50x compared to Bitcoin and outperforms Bitcoin by 50x, well, then your $1,000 is going to turn into pretty much a Bitcoin, right? If you do a 50x outperformance of Bitcoin at this point in time with $1,000, hey, that's a Bitcoin, right? So there is a way for you to actually be able to get more Bitcoin, but that method, in my opinion, is altcoins, and obviously it's higher risk, but if it plays out, that is a potential play there. So if you see this chart and you look on a shorter time frame, right, and you zoom it out like this, it looks incredibly parabolic. It looks incredibly steep, and you think, hey, there's no way that this is possible, right? And I've showed you guys this before. Remember, right? 2017 cycle, at this point in time, things were already nuts because the previous cycle was like over here, right, in 2013, and this already looked enormous by comparison. But if you zoom this out, look at this. Look how small the 2017 run actually seems by comparison already, right? So everything is all relative. Expensive is relative, right? Because we're in price discovery mode. It looks insane right now, but compared to where it might go in the future, this might end up being a small blip compared to the next run, and eventually, in the coming months and years, where things are actually going to end up. And one thing I always encourage you to do also is to change this to a log scale, because it changes the appearance of the chart, and it's a more accurate representation, in my opinion, of the data, right? It compares apples with apples, percentages with percentages, where 1 to 10 is the same as 10 to 100 is the same as 100 to 1,000, right? It keeps the proportions more in alignment. And you can see over here, when you look at it on a log scale, right? This is a monthly chart. Then you can see things start to look a little bit different, right? You see where this goes. If this is how things play out, look at this, right? Where it could end up going. You see that? That's $1.2 million for a Bitcoin if that ends up happening. Who knows if that's going to end up happening? But maybe it's a parallel channel and maybe we'll see this. You can see even if it does this, $280,000 per Bitcoin in the cycle, and it is not impossible. You can see if this were to go straight up, just like it did here in 2017. That's why these log scales can be important to look at the bigger picture, right? Because it looks parabolic, but look what happened in 2017. If this continues, look, imagine over here somewhere, this is June 2021. It doesn't look that crazy, right? Like I was talking about the cycles, if we have several months to go, maybe towards the end of the year, over here you can see this is October 2021. Somewhere up here, almost $300,000. Max Kaiser is calling for $220,000. A lot of people are calling for $300,000. So it is actually not impossible. And based on all that institutional money that is starting to show interest, I think it might actually be possible. I think we might actually be able to see $300,000 per Bitcoin this year, and if not this year, I think in the coming years, it is completely possible. Of course, not financial advice, I don't know the future, but based on everything I'm seeing here, it is actually a possibility and probably a pretty decent one. So, if you're thinking, hey, the cycle is already over, I think we've had that bear trap, right? I've seen people talking about, hey, the cycle is over, Bitcoin is done at 42K, it's going back down. Obviously, it hasn't, right? It's gone back up to 48K. You're seeing the media attention. You're seeing the enthusiasm. I think we're here. I think we have a few more months to go, if not most of the rest of the year. And hopefully, we are going to still get that greed and delusion phase. And that is when we're going to have to start being careful. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel below. Click the notification button. Get on my email list, sign up for the free masterclass if you haven't done so already. If you want to join us inside Intelligent Cryptocurrency, which is my education program, I write a monthly newsletter. We've got a private Discord chat group where I'm always sharing my own personal buy and sell movements and things like that. All the details are also below. So sign up for that masterclass, get the details, join us inside Intelligent Cryptocurrency, and stay subscribed to the channel because I'm going to continue to update you over the coming months where I think we are in the cycle. And I'm also going to be warning, always take your initial capital. It's never a bad idea to take profits, reduce your risk. And at some point, hopefully, if we can start seeing that delusion new paradigm phase, that, we can get out at the right time. So thanks for watching. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.